Fang Jie, a young man from the 21st century, traveled to the Three Kingdoms period and became a neighbor and friend of Zhuge Liang. In this situation, awakening Liu Bowen's system and discussing with Zhuge Liang, he even spoke out about Longzhong. Zhuge Liang was astonished and openly stated that he would join Liu Bei with Fang Jie, enjoying delicious food and spicy food. However, while Fang Jie was out shopping, Zhuge Liang quietly followed Liu Bei away. At the same time, there is also written evidence that once the position of military commander is firmly established, Fang Jie will be pursued. Fang Jie immediately became calm about this and followed the system's advice, defecting to Cao Cao and becoming a servant, responsible for raising horses. Liu Bei stood on the ship and laughed heartily as he watched Cao Cao and others chasing after him from the shore. "Brother Mengde, don't come safely." Cao Cao sneered and asked someone to bring Lady Gan up. "Cao thief, you." Keywords of the novel. Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei abandons. I cut off Lady Me without a pop-up window, Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei abandons. I cut off the complete collection of Madame Humi's TXT download, Three Kingdoms. Liu Bei abandons. I cut off the latest chapter of Madame Me and read it. Chapter 1. Wolong is unethical and dares to issue a pursuit order. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Wolong is unethical and dares to issue a pursuit order. Excuse me, is Mr. Wolong here? Outside the thatched cottage, three big men stood respectfully, one of whom had ears hanging over his shoulders and hands over his knees. The person with such a strange appearance must be Liu Bei and Lu Xuanda, while the two people behind him are Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Inside, Zhuge Liang smiled calmly and asked softly, "Brother Mu Shui, success or failure depends on this one move. Now, the book boys have all gone out. Could you please help me welcome Uncle Liu, Brother Mu Shui?" Fang Jie, with a delicate face, nodded lightly and then walked out of the door. Liu Bei saw a person walking out of the room and quickly saluted respectfully. "Excuse me, the book boy, is Mr. Wolong at home?" Fang Jie didn't mind Liu Bei's words about a book boy, but said calmly, "Mr. Wolong is resting. Please wait a moment." Upon hearing this, Zhang Fei suddenly became furious and said, "My elder brother, after King Jing of Zhongshan, is a relative of the Han family. Now that I see a village and a commoner, I wonder if I have to wait a little longer. Watch me burn down this dilapidated thatched cottage with a single flame, see where he lives." Fang Jie couldn't help but smile. Zhang Fei was indeed very angry, just like Zhang Fei and Zhang Yide in the book. Liu Bei saw Fang Jie staring at Zhang Fei and thought he was angry. He quickly apologized and advised Zhang Fei. As the saying goes, there are many troubles in front of a widow's door, let alone a man. And this is Mr. Wolong's book boy, perhaps he has also learned some of Mr. Wolong's skills, which should not be offended. Since Mr. Wolong is resting, I will wait outside the door for a moment. Fang Jie nodded and said, "I'll go down the mountain to buy some food. Remember not to enter the house, so as not to disturb Mr. S. rest." Liu Bei nodded slightly and stood respectfully on the side waiting. After Fang Jie closed the door, he walked slowly down the mountain. And he was not originally Zhuge Liang's book boy, but traveled from the 21st century and directly became Zhuge Liang's neighbor and friend. When he first arrived, if it weren't for awakening Liu Bowen's system, Fang Jie could have died directly in front of Zhuge Liang's door. When he had nothing to do, Fang Jie and Zhuge Liang discussed the overall situation of the world and talked about Cao Cao and others. Even the famous Longzhong pair and Fang Jie in later generations blurted out, directly shocking Zhuge Liang for several days. Regarding this, Fang Jie remained calm and asked directly, "What is the value of this parallel prose in the world?" Zhuge Liang waved his feather fan and exclaimed excitedly, "You can exchange it for 1,000,000 soldiers." Fang Jie believes that 1,000,000-strong army is not enough. Is the famous Longzhong in later generations comparable to 1,000,000-strong army? At least we need to exchange for a military position. At this moment, Zhuge Liang said again, perhaps this article is suitable for Liu Bei. It's better for you and me to join Liu Bei and become bigger and stronger. When the time comes, there will be delicious food and spicy food, whatever you want. Zhuge Liang indeed has this strength, and Fang Jie also agrees. He just can't stand Liu Bei's personality. If things don't go well with Liu Bei, he can just run away. After all, carrying the Liu Bowen system and being in a turbulent era, one has to be prepared with both hands and always leave a way out, especially for survival. Maybe I can still hold a position in the hands of Cao Cao. Walking down the mountain road, Fang Jie felt beautiful, especially in this pollution-free environment. After seeing Fang Jie go down the mountain, Zhuge Liang immediately sat up from the bed. Wearing a white robe, with a wave of his feather fan, he felt refreshed, as if he had done something for Liu Bei. Later, Zhuge Liang sang and said, "Who would have a big dream first? Throughout my life, I knew it myself. In spring, I slept soundly in the thatched cottage, and the sun outside the window was delayed." He pretended to be tall and dignified. Zhuge Liang won thoroughly this time, and in Liu Bei's mind, he directly got full marks. Upon seeing this, Liu Bei was startled by the situation and quickly bowed, respectfully saying, "After Prince Jing of Zhongshan, Liu Bei, Liu Xuande, pays his respects to Mr. Wolong." Zhuge Liang waved his feather fan and gently raised the corner of his mouth to invite Liu Bei into the room, then took out a map. Next, I blurted out the Longzhong DUI that I had previously discussed with Fang Jie. A grand and lofty goal that was destined to be unattainable emerged in Liu Bei's mind. Suddenly, Liu Bei trembled all over, admiring and pleasing to the eye as he listened. Immediately approaching Zhuge Liang, he bowed deeply and said, "Be prepared to be foolish and ignorant, unable to support the Han family. I hope you can come out of the mountains and save the people of the world." Zhuge Liang pretended and pushed a few times before reluctantly agreeing to come down the mountain with Liu Bei. About half an hour later, Fang Jie walked up slowly with a roasted chicken and a pot of wine, only to find that there was nothing left in the thatched cottage. Even the books I usually read have been moved away. No way, did you leave so soon? Fang Jie gave a faint smile and shook his head. Let's go. A group of old men. What's the use of going there? Anyway, I still have a system, and there's still something in this world that doesn't allow me. But in the next moment, Fang Jie didn't calm down. I saw a bundle of bamboo slips left on the table, which read, "Brother Mu Shui, have you ever heard the saying that one mountain cannot tolerate two tigers? After Liang sits firmly in the army, he will definitely be killed. I hope Brother Mu Shui can forgive me. Brother Mu Shui can rest assured to play these days. Soon, someone will come to visit. At that time, Liang will personally mourn and choose a feng shui treasure for Brother Mu Shui." Liang once again warned Brother Mu Shui not to run away. "The world will eventually fall into my hands. Where else can Brother Mu Shui run? Crouching trough, isn't Zhuge Liang a righteous gentleman? Why is his heart so dark? Zhuge Liang's rough handling is really a bit unfair. If you want to stay in the military, tell me, I promise you, you don't have to stab me in the back, do you? Good guy, he's already being targeted before he can fully survive, and it's still the kind of pursuit order." The more I thought about it, the more angry I became. In a fit of anger, I lit up the thatched cottage with a flame. Ding, detect Zhuge Liang's treachery and trigger the selection task. Choose 1, seek refuge with Sun Quan, reward. The position of Dongwu Metropolitan Governor. Option 2, join Cao Cao, reward. Increase intelligence by 5 points. Looking at the two choices in the system, Fang Jie didn't even hesitate and chose the second one directly. Others may not know, but Fang Jie is well aware that the Grand Commander of Dongwu is just a scapegoat. He either died of anger or committed suicide, and in any case, there is no good outcome. Moreover, since obtaining the system, Fang Jie's intelligence has reached 90 points. According to the system, there will be special rewards after reaching 100 points. Fang Jie is eagerly anticipating this. Since you have defected to the great ear thief and sent someone to kill me, then I will defect it to the Chow thief. Anyway, I have a system, and I will play you dead. One day, I can both kill you and take control of the world. Hee, Thief Chow, no, Prime Minister Chow, I'm here. The military strategist really has a clever plan. 2 burning Chow thieves threw away their armor and abandoned their armor. How delightful. On the march, Liu Bei was proud of himself and said with a smile, I have a military advisor, like a fish in water. Zhuge Liang lightly fanned his feather fan and said, My lord praised me falsely, it's just a small skill like carving insects. Military officer, I am so devoted to you. I have never fought such a thrilling battle in my life. General Ida lifted it. Zhang Fei smiled and said, I don't show any respect at all. I hope the military commander can forgive what I did back then. A group of people surrounded Zhang Fei and burst into laughter. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Hey, I'm not doing it in detail. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Hey, I'm not doing it in detail. Since Zhuge Liang arrived, life has been getting better and better day by day, and we haven't lost much in battles. He forcefully pulled Liu Bei out of his predicament, burning 2 large fires in Baoang and Xinya, causing Liu Bei to be overjoyed and Cao Cao to be furious. Cao Cao, who had a 1,000,000-strong army, was as vulnerable as a local chicken, tile dog, under Zhuge Liang's scheme. Although Liu Bei was still fleeing, this time, he was the happiest, cheerful every day, laughing so hard that his stomach hurt. Liu Bei rode up to a high ground, followed by Zhuge Liang, who frowned slightly. There is no other reason. A month ago, he sent someone to pursue Fang Jie in the thatched cottage, but the person who returned reported that the thatched cottage had turned into ashes and Fang Jie was nowhere to be seen. This directly made Zhuge Liang feel a little scared. There can only be one such talented person in the world, and that is Zhuge Kongming. Since Fang Jie has already run away, let's directly issue a pursuit order and chase around the world until we see the body. A month has passed, and Fang Jie seems to have disappeared, which makes Zhuge Liang nervous. At this moment, Sun Qian, who was thin and emaciated, came to Liu Bei's side and reported, Lord, the Chow army has suffered a great defeat and will definitely come to chase after us. However, tens of thousands of people follow our army, and they can only travel 30 miles a day. In a few days, the Chow army will catch up. It's better to give up these common people and get through Jiangling first. It has not been easy for Sun Qian to follow Liu Bei for so many years. He is starving and skinny. If given another choice now, he will definitely choose Cao Cao. After all, the taste of going hungry is not that good. And he was also accustomed to the tumultuous life, and even learned the skill of running away immediately when the situation turned bad. After all, Liu Bei's ability to escape was unbeatable among the 3 kingdoms. Sun Qian followed for a long time and also learned a hint of true meaning. Abandoning the people and running away quickly is the best strategy. If it were normal, Liu Bei would definitely choose, but this time, Liu Bei decisively refused. Instantly restrained from the joy on his face, his eyes turned to tens of thousands of people, and a layer of tears welled up. Gong Yu, the Chow army is ferocious and slaughters the people. You are not unaware of this, and the people are afraid of the Chow army. That's why they chose to follow me. As a member of the Han family, how can I ignore it? Sun Qian's face turned pale and he wanted to continue persuading. But Liu Bei interrupted directly, Gong Yu, there's no need to say anything more. I will never give up on the people. As the words fell, a tear flowed from the corner of Liu Bei's eye. When everyone saw Liu Bei shedding tears, their hearts were deeply moved and tears streamed down their eyes. Behind Liu Bei's army, Cao Cao led tens of thousands of troops to continue moving forward. Along the way, there was rolling smoke and dust, and footsteps were like thunder. At a glance, it was dark and overwhelming. At this moment, Cao Cao was riding his horse with a face full of anger, perhaps due to the injustice of heaven. This year, Cao Cao has experienced too many things. Firstly, Zhuge Jia died, and then Liu Bei invited Zhuge Liang out of the mountain to become a military advisor, causing him to suffer a great defeat. However, Cao Cao's power was so great that his subordinates were not lacking in people with high intelligence and depth. However, Su Shu remained silent. Jia Su was even more astute in protecting himself, and Sun Yu and others were proficient in internal affairs. However, this strategy of killing enemies was not as effective as Zhuge Jia's. So much so that Zhuge Liang played with him several times and even lost tens of thousands of soldiers and horses. Cao Cao had to face it with anger. If there is filial piety, how could there be such a defeat? Cao Cao sighed and planned to let the army continue to advance and pursue Liu Bei. At this moment, a voice came. "Don't arrest me, I'm here to defect to the Prime Minister." How could I be so rude? I really came to seek refuge with the Prime Minister, not to be meticulous. A commotion erupted as several soldiers grabbed onto a frail villager and held onto his shoulder, while an officer interrogated him. Since the departure on that day, Fang Jie has been walking non-stop, but unfortunately the system has not helped. Coupled with limited foot strength, it took him 3 months to reach the boundary of Fanqing in Jingzhou. I want to ask someone, but not to mention human figures, even animals cannot be seen within 100 miles, so I have no choice but to continue moving forward. After walking for a few days, Fang Jie also heard that Liu Bei had been promoting the news of Cao Cao's massacre. The people were panicked and followed Liu Bei one after another. And the remaining civilians, upon seeing the Cao army, were frightened and hid at home, afraid to come out. Only Fang Jie was an outsider. When he saw a large army walking, he immediately approached and prepared to defect to Cao Cao. However, he was caught alive. "Tell me, are you really meticulous?" Fang Jie has answered countless times, but the other party just doesn't believe it. "I've said it many times, I'm not really meticulous. I'm here to seek refuge with the Prime Minister." "Fart it, if you don't tell the truth, you'll be punished immediately, and then you'll be beheaded." "Don't," I said, "I know the Prime Minister. I am an old friend of the Prime Minister, and you cannot kill me." "Kill me, be careful that the Prime Minister will execute you." When the name Cao Cao was mentioned, the officers became somewhat wary and dared not use the law for a moment. If he is really an old friend of the Prime Minister, then if he offends, there will be no good days in the future. Upon hearing this, Cao Cao was immediately stunned. He carefully pondered in his mind and recalled all the people he knew, only to find that they were either dead or buried alive, or unable to recall who this person was. "I guess he is also a skinny and weak literati who came here to earn a living." Thinking of this, Cao Cao said to a general behind him, "Zhong Kong, go and take a look and report it in detail." "No." Su Chu wielded his sword and went straight to the noisy place, where he happened to see 2 soldiers pressing Fang Jie to the ground. "What's going on here?" The voice was strong and full of vitality, and the people around instantly quieted down. Fang Jie looked up and saw that this general, with a tiger's back and a bear's waist, was even more fierce than Zhang Fei. Could he possibly be a prominent figure under Cao Cao's command? "General Su, ordinary people usually stay indoors and don't leave, but this person who came straight to our army is probably a meticulous operation." "General Su. Is it Su or Su?" Upon hearing this, Fang Jie found that there were only 2 generals under Cao Cao's command with the character Su, one was Su Chu and the other was Su Huang. Su Huang is a general with a scholarly demeanor, and this tiger-backed and bold person is probably the future tiger Ho Su Chu. Fang Jie quickly spoke up, "May I ask if it's General Zhongkang?" Su Chu was taken aback. "Does this person know me?" Holding on to Fang Jie's two soldiers, seeing that Fang Jie knew General Su Chu, he quickly released his hand and helped them up. Fang Jie's thoughts were spinning rapidly. At this moment, Zhuge Liang became the commander of Liu Bei's army, so there must be a broad prospect. The Battle of Xinye, the subsequent Changban Bridge, Zhao Yun's 7 in and 7 out, and so on. Since Cao Cao led his army to personally march, then this person must be Su Chu, the personal guard general of Cao Cao. Having made up his mind, Fang Jie moved his shoulders, tidied up the dust on his body, and clasped his fists, saying, "I've seen General Zhongkang before." Upon hearing this, Cao Cao on the periphery suddenly felt something interesting. Su Chu's eyes widened and he asked, "Who are you? Why do you know I am Su Chu?" Fang Jie smiled proudly and said, "All the generals in the world are in my mind. Liu Bei's subordinates, Guanzhong and the others, are all fierce generals." When Cao Cao heard Fang Jie talk about Liu Bei, his eyes suddenly became sharp and he began to ponder in his heart. Su Chu immediately shouted, "Do you know Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei?" End of this chapter. Chapter 3, I'm not meticulous, really not. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, I'm not meticulous, really not. Of course I know, Liu Bei is now a homeless dog, while Guanzhong and his two companions are like the generation of local chickens, tiles, and dogs, not worth mentioning compared to General Zhongkang. Cao Cao heard from afar that Liu Bei was a bereaved dog, but his heart was much happier. Upon hearing these words, Su Chu also felt happy. "You kid, you can also talk. You just said that you are an old friend of my Prime Minister. Are you serious about this?" Fang Jie suddenly felt embarrassed and said, "I know the Prime Minister, but he doesn't know me. Could you please ask the general to take me to meet him? Then he will know everything." Upon hearing this, Su Chu found nothing wrong with his words, but the next moment, he grabbed the handle of the knife with a big hand and shouted, "You said you're not meticulous. Since you're not an old friend, why go see the Prime Minister?" Fang Jie's heart suddenly furrowed as he looked at the big knife on Su Chu's waist. If it were to be pulled out, he thought Su Yu and I would have the same fate, right? However, his smile remained on his face as he continued, "When meeting the Prime Minister, it is natural to inform him that Bo Wang must not attack Xinye, otherwise he will be defeated." Upon hearing this, Su Chu suddenly lost his temper and said, "Emotions, you little boy, are a hindsight, risking your life." Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Cao Cao who walked in. Originally, after hearing this, Cao Cao felt that this kid was a bit interesting and immediately walked out. At first glance, Fang Jie saw the person with a white face and long beard, a square sky, and a red cloak, exuding a majestic aura. But his eyebrows furrowed tightly, indicating that this person was troubled by many things. Based on all the previous events, Fang Jie immediately concluded that this person was Cao Cao. Ding, Cao Cao appears and triggers a mission. Please gain Cao Cao's trust within 1 day. If the mission is successful, reward the official position of Tai Fu or Si Shi Yang Ma. If the mission fails, die in place. Upon seeing the triggering task, Fang Jie was immediately surprised, indicating that joining Cao Cao was not such a fortunate thing. Grass people, Fang Jie, Fang Mushui, have met the Prime Minister. Cao Cao squinted his eyes and looked up and down at Fang Jie before asking, "Do you think you are my old friend?" Haha. Fang Jie's eyes rolled and he burst into laughter before saying, "The name of the Prime Minister has spread far and wide, and the Battle of Guandu has greatly defeated Yuan Shao. Later, he captured Lv Bu, greatly defeated Wu Huan, and other events. Who doesn't know the name of the Prime Minister? Grassroots have admired the Prime Minister for a long time, which is why they falsely claim to be the Prime Minister's old friend. As the saying goes, if you talk to people or ghosts, Fang Jie won't believe it. Will Cao Cao be unhappy after all these people's words come to an end?" As expected by Fang Jie, after listening, Cao Cao's heart immediately felt extremely comfortable. Recently, there have been too many troubles and daily life has been extremely boring. However, Fang Jie praised his past achievements, allowing him to savor his invincible demeanor and suddenly feel that his worries were reduced by half. "Huh, you kid can also talk." Even Su Chu nodded repeatedly as he listened. No one doesn't like good words, but when you say good things, you must also be able to say them. You can't say too much or be too conservative, only in this way can you make people feel happy. Obviously, Fang Jie has already mastered the essence of it. Cao Cao's face also softened a lot and he smiled. "You kid, you're also an interesting person. Why don't you stay under my tent and listen?" "Under the account listening? Shouldn't it be raising horses? Is it difficult? I haven't completed the task yet. And this official position carries its own dangers." Cao Cao had a dream of killing someone. If one day he was unhappy and suddenly woke up, closed his eyes, and stabbed himself to death with a sword, what should he do? It must be that the task has not been completed and the designated time has not yet arrived. It would be better to agree now. Moreover, Cao Cao is currently in a good mood and may even have a chance to speak. Seeing Fang Jie agree, Cao Cao ordered someone to lead a black horse, and Fang Jie climbed up several times before finally climbing up. Everyone laughed heartily as they watched. "Zhong Kong, command the army to march urgently and directly take Xiangyang." "No." Fang Jie was a bit strange and curious, saying, "Has the Prime Minister decided not to attack Baoang in Xinye?" Su Chu was a bit unhappy and whispered, "Our army suffered heavy losses in Baoang and Xinye 1 month ago. General Yuan Rang and General Zixiao were ambushed and suffered heavy losses. Liu Bei, this big-eared thief, has been promoting our army's city slaughter, burning, killing, and looting. The Lord is very unhappy about this. Don't mention it again in the future." Fang Jie walked for several months to find Cao Cao because he didn't have any horses. At this time, the battles of Baoang and Xinye were all over. Sleeping in a slot, it's a mistake. However, it's good to finish the fight. Let Zhuge Liang work hard for a few days first. When Cao Cao thought of Bo Wang and Xinye, his eyes suddenly became sharp. "When I take Jingzhou, anyone related to Zhuge village master will be executed. Otherwise, it will be difficult to dispel my hatred in my heart." Fang Jie. Crouching slot, is it so ruthless? This is not killing the 9 clans anymore, it's simply a massacre. All those who have connections will be executed. That old man is Zhuge Liang's neighbor and friend, and he will also be killed by Cao Cao. Fang Jie was speechless for a moment, his face full of embarrassment. It seemed that before gaining trust, it was best not to easily expose his identity. Since we want to kill Zhuge Liang and others, we should not attack Xiangyang. Fang Jie tightly hugged the horse's neck with both hands, which prevented him from falling off. "I haven't ridden far, and I feel like my lower body is no longer my own." Upon hearing this, Su Chu said calmly, "How can you talk nonsense about such a big matter?" Fang Jie ignored Su Chu's kindness and directly retorted, "General is unaware that Liu Bei will definitely flee to Jiangling, while in Xiangyang, Liu Bei dare not go." Su Chu was also a great general who naturally understood the art of war. After hesitating on horseback for a while, he asked, "Why doesn't Liu Bei dare to go to Xiangyang?" "Liu Zong in Xiangyang is cowardly, and the Prime Minister's army is overwhelming the border. He will definitely open the city gate to welcome the Prime Minister into the city. Liu Qi from Jiangling is Liu Bei's adopted son, and Liu Bei will definitely go." Su Chu was taken aback and quickly rode his horse to follow Cao Cao, informing him of Fang Jie's original words. Upon hearing this, Cao Cao immediately dismounted and walked to the roadside, saying to the people accompanying him, "Bring the map." Fang Jie also jumped off the horse and rubbed the inner thighs on the side. The accompanying person handed over the map, and Su Chu quickly unfolded it. Cao Cao gestured on the map for half a day and finally found Jiangling. This Liu Bei is so cunning. Su Chu was surprised and quickly asked, Lord, is it difficult? Did Liu Bei really go to Jiangling? Cao Cao frowned and said seriously, it's very likely. Subconsciously, Cao Cao looked behind him, but this time he felt lonely. In the past, the person standing behind Cao Cao was Guo Jia. When Cao Cao turned around, Guo Jia would smile and give him advice. Every time he sees Guo Jia's smile, Cao Cao's mood will be greatly improved. But this time, Guo Jia turned into Fang Jie, lowering her head and caressing the inside of her thighs. Zhongkang, did you say he told you this news? Su Chu is a daring person, yes, no, he nodded directly and said, indeed, it was Fang Jie who told me. In addition, this was an urgent march, and Sun Yu and others did not follow. Moreover, Cao Cao himself was also a military strategist, and his strategy was extraordinary. After careful consideration, he said, Zhongkang, go and call him over. End of this chapter. Chapter 4 System. What's wrong with this person, so many tasks? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 System. What's wrong with this person, so many tasks, Brother Mu Shui, the Prime Minister has asked you to come over. Oh, I got it. Fang Jie remained calm and at ease, following Su Chu to Cao Cao's presence. Cao Cao pointed to the map and asked, Fang Jie, do you have any evidence to suggest that Liu Bei did not go to Xiangyang, but instead to Jiangling? Fang Jie squinted his eyes and pretended to be a divine being, saying, Liu Bei and the Prime Minister are at odds. He will definitely not go to Xiangyang, otherwise he will be tied up by Liu Zong and offered directly to the Prime Minister. In this situation, Liu Bei had no choice but to deceive the Prime Minister, pretending to go to Xiangyang but actually changing his route to Jiangling. Liu Qi from Jiangling was Liu Bei's adopted son and had tens of thousands of troops, which could serve as Liu Bei's living force in Jiangling. Even if Liu Qi cannot stop the Prime Minister's army, Liu Bei can abandon Jiangling and head to Wolong County. At that time, the Prime Minister is likely to give up pursuing Liu Bei. Above all, Liu Bei will have hope for life and rest assured from now on. After hearing this, Cao Cao frowned and pondered again, thinking that what Fang Jie said was highly likely to happen. And this feeling is even a bit familiar, as if Guo Jia has returned and is offering advice by his side. It seems that this Fang Jie is not just a guy who can flatter. Cao Cao's heart warmed, his attitude softened a bit, and a smile appeared on his face as he asked. So, based on your estimation, where is Liu Bei currently located and how will our army pursue him? Ding, task release, dispel Cao Cao's doubts, reward 3 points of strength, mission failure, direct death. Hearing the system sound again, Fang Jie felt depressed. I didn't complete the first 2 tasks, and now you have a third task, which is the kind of direct death. How do you want me to live? However, the reward for this mission is quite good, adding 3 points of strength. Nowadays, Fang Jianai has a strength of 88 points, and increasing his strength by 3 points is equivalent to 91 points. He must be able to compete with the general. It seems that this task serves as a bridge between the past and the future, and it must be completed. The first 2 tasks can also be completed. And, this is my comeback battle. With this idea in mind, Fang Jie pointed to the Nagasaka slope and said, Nagasaka slope. Cao Cao was a bit strange. Are you sure it's Changbanpo? According to the marching speed, my army should be in Maicheng to catch up with Liu Bei. Fang Jie smiled and said, Prime Minister, General Zhongkang just said that Liu Bei is rumored to be walking outside, saying that there is no grass growing in the areas where the army passes, and no one has survived. All these things, the people will definitely follow Liu Bei to Jiangling, and Liu Bei's bringing these people with him will also bring many benefits to himself. Firstly, with the people, he can settle down and establish himself. Secondly, in terms of military strength, he is far from being able to compete with the Prime Minister. These people are his military strength. In this way, Liu Bei's benevolence and righteousness were passed down among the people, laying a solid foundation for his subsequent development. Cao Cao was startled and his eyes suddenly lit up. Even Su Chu on the side could hear that Liu Bei was not simple, and even admired Fang Jie. Watching the performance of the two, Fang Jie nodded in satisfaction and continued to add firewood and fire, saying, "If Liu Bei is caught up by the Prime Minister, these people will use it to stop the Prime Minister's army from attacking. If the Prime Minister slaughters these people, then Liu Bei will spread propaganda everywhere about how the Prime Minister slaughters the people and how he can save them." Moreover, Liu Bei is also a relative of the Han family after King Jing of Zhongshan. As long as this operation is carried out, people all over the world will believe that Liu Bei is the loyalty of the Great Han, and the Prime Minister is the treacherous minister of the Great Han. In this way, more people will follow Liu Bei, and the Prime Minister will only lose more troops, until in the end, the Prime Minister will be unable to compete with Liu Bei's army. Cao Cao took a cold breath and said, "I didn't expect Liu Bei, the dog thief, to be so clever. I knew I should have killed him in the first place. I regret it very much now. I knew I should have followed my filial piety and killed Liu Bei. Now it has become a major concern for oneself." As soon as he thought of Guojia, Cao Cao's gaze towards Fang Jie seemed a bit confused again. This person may have been Guojia's reincarnation to replace him. In just a few words, the analysis of Liu Bei's strategy was clear and straightforward, as if Guojia was alive. Cao Cao felt ecstatic in his heart. Guojia had died, but he didn't expect a Fang Jie to come. However, Cao Cao did not show this joyful expression, but smiled and said, "Mu Shui continues to speak." Seeing the timing ripe, Fang Jie continued, "Actually, Liu Bei has been running away and there is no such pattern." And Liu Bei suddenly became so cunning because he got someone. Cao Cao was suddenly taken aback and said, "Zhuge Liang. Not bad, it's this person." Cao Cao took a cold breath because of Zhuge Liang's appearance, which caused Liu Bei, who had already been defeated, to turn the tables and directly defeat Chao's army. Not only did Cao Ren and others suffer a great defeat, but even Cao Cao was very angry in his heart. And Liu Bei took advantage of these two major victories to directly make a name for himself and crazily recruit troops and horses. Moreover, Zhuge Liang had not yet stopped his footsteps, and he came up with a clever plan to secretly manipulate the people and spread Liu Bei's reputation. Let Liu Bei directly take on the role of a Han family member, occupying all benevolence and righteousness, and make the people willingly follow Liu Bei. This strategic vision is profound. Liu Bei is just an ordinary person in a village. How could he obtain such a remarkable talent? Going forward, it will be even harder to deal with. At this point, Cao Cao had already fallen into a state of shock, and Fang Jie did not intend to shock Cao Cao once. After clearing his throat, Fang Jie continued, "Prime Minister, these strategies were just casually conceived by Zhuge Liang. Think of it casually." Upon hearing this, Cao Cao became even more anxious. Looking up and staring at Fang Jie, he said in a hurried tone, "Is it difficult? Do Zhuge Liang still have a well-thought-out plan?" Seeing Cao Cao panic, Fang Jie knew that the effect had been achieved, and he did not intend to stop, but instead wanted to raise Zhuge Liang's height. Whenever Cao Cao thinks of Zhuge Liang, he will immediately think of himself and use his strategies to deal with him. So, he can gain the trust of Cao Cao, not only be able to complete tasks, but also make himself feel like a fish in water in Cao Cao's camp. Regarding this, Fang Jie directly used his trump card to speak out to Longzhong. "Prime Minister, before leaving the mountains, Zhuge Liang had planned a strategy for Liu Bei to divide the world into 3 parts. Cao Cao's breathing became rapid in an instant. What's the plan?" "Longzhong is right." "What is Longzhong Dui?" "Prime Minister, to be disrespectful, when the Prime Minister threatened the Emperor to command the feudal lords, it allowed the Prime Minister to occupy the heavenly time, while Sun Quan in Jiangdong occupied the geographical advantage with the natural danger of the Yangtze River. As the saying goes, heaven, earth, and harmony. Now that the Prime Minister and Sun Quan respectively occupy the heaven, earth, and harmony, Liu Bei can only occupy the last person in harmony. Harmony is what is called benevolence and righteousness, and for Liu Bei, his status as a Han family member and influence are Liu Bei's harmony. As the words fell, Fang Jie looked at the map and slowly pointed his fingers towards a place. Zhuge Liang suggested that Liu Bei take Jingzhou and Xiangyang, and then form an alliance with Sun Quan in Jiangdong to plot Yizhou and Hanzhong, thus dividing the world into 3 parts. This is Longzhong. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Cao Cao, the Color of Overlord. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Cao Cao, the Color of Overlord. After listening to Fang Jie's analysis, Cao Cao's scalp tingled instantly, and his cold sweat had soaked through his inner shirt. At the next moment, Cao Cao suddenly stood up and paced back and forth. What a Zhuge Liang, what a Longzhong. I never expected that there would still be such a talented person in the world. Liu Bei is a wild and unruly person, how can he meet such a talented person? It's really infuriating for me. Cao Cao's breathing became rapid with anger. Liu Bei gained Zhuge Liang and then gained 1/3 of the world. How can I achieve my hegemony of unifying the world? Watching Cao Cao's actions, Fang Jie's lips slightly curled up. It seems that the task of joining Cao Cao and gaining his trust must be completed immediately. On the side, Su Chu also fell into shock and couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. Why can someone say a few words and divide the world equally? What exactly is in this person's brain? In the eyes of this person, this world seems to be like a chessboard, playing casually. Originally, there was also this person in the Chao camp, and that was Guojia Fengshao. Su Chu believed that if Guojia died, Zhuge Liang would have no opponents, and in this way, future battles may lose more than win. Thinking of this, Su Chu looked at Fang Jie. Perhaps this person could replace Guojia and compete with Zhuge Liang in intelligence and bravery. But the next moment, Su Chu was once again shocked. Cao Cao, who was pacing back and forth, suddenly stopped and drew his sword, placing it around Fang Jie's neck with a murderous intent in his eyes. Who are you and why do you know Zhuge Liang's strategy? Fang Jie remained calm and slammed his right hand into his chest, painfully saying, I am a scholar named Zhuge Liang. I once helped him complete the Longzhong Dui, but he was ungrateful and abandoned me directly. He even killed me in pain. This person is really a villain. Cao Cao is a person with a strong suspicion, but he is also a person who does not doubt his employment. Upon hearing what Fang Jie said, Cao Cao slowly lowered his sword and did not dwell on Fang Jie's background. Instead, he asked directly, since you know Longzhong is right, do you have a way to crack it? Even with his sword pointed at him, Fang Jie was still building momentum for Zhuge Liang, with the aim of achieving success in Cao Cao's heart after defeating him. Longzhong's 1.1 confrontation, coupled with Zhuge Liang's intelligence and approach to demons, left this plan unsolvable. What's even more impressive is that Zhuge Liang's strategies were mostly Yang's, and even if he knew all the content, he couldn't stop them. Cao Cao was so frightened that he took 3 steps back and dropped his sword to the ground. What should we do? Fang Jie saw that he had achieved the desired effect, so he looked up at the north with both hands behind his back and pretended to say. The Prime Minister has a domineering aura. Even though Zhuge Liang is more intelligent and approaches demons, his strategies need to be executed step by step. As the saying goes, plan by man and success by heaven, the Prime Minister only needs to see and break down his moves. In addition, Liu Bei has very few generals and soldiers, and the Prime Minister's support of 1 million soldiers is not enough to be afraid. The color of dominance. Upon hearing this, Cao Cao's heart gradually became clear. Yes, even if Zhuge Liang is powerful and doesn't have many soldiers in his hands, it will be of no use. And I have countless generals in my hands, strategists like rain, each person can drown Zhuge Liang with just one spit. Moreover, this domineering expression is well spoken, just right for me, Chao Mengde. This Fang Jie is really a talented person. Not only can he speak well, but he is also exceptionally intelligent. In an instant, the melancholy in Cao Cao's heart dissipated. After Fang Jie's explanation, Cao Cao went from being skeptical, to his understanding of Zhuge Liang, even to panic, and now to seeing the light through the clouds. Over time, his view of Fang Jie has changed, and Fang Jie's imagination is becoming more and more similar to Zhuge Jie's. If it weren't for what Fang Jie said, I wouldn't even know that Zhuge Liang had once been a leader in China, attempting to change the global landscape. Thinking about these things, I feel scared. Cao Cao's heart became increasingly happy. What if Liu Bei gets Zhuge Liang? If Cao Cao gets Fang Jie, he will have the aura of a domineering ruler. It's just a matter of just being in the middle of the world. He can easily defeat it. Thinking of this, Cao Cao put away his sword and deeply bowed to Fang Jie. Mu Shui, a great talent, I am willing to worship you as a military professor, participate in military and political affairs, and provide me with advice. What do you think? Fang Jie, Professor Marching. That's not right, isn't it a servant who raises horses? Is it difficult? This is a cover-up left by the system for me. Do I have to go and ask Cao Cao for it myself? Moreover, the position of the marching professor was that of Zhuge Jie and others, who were all following Cao Cao's side. When the two armies faced off, they could clearly see the other generals. If Zhuge Liang saw himself in a standoff against Liu Bei, he wouldn't need to issue a pursuit order and said directly, "Long time no see, brother Mu Shui. Thanks to your intelligence recently, we were able to escape from the hands of the Chao thief." At that time, Cao Cao's eyes tilted, and Su Chu could directly chop himself to death. Although Fang Jie was just a neighbor of Zhuge Liang, the two had already reached the point of killing each other. Don't think of giving advice to Cao Cao, but he can't resist his suspicion. Even if Cao Cao let himself go, others would still be suspicious, and then various small reports appeared, and the disaster of imprisonment was definitely inevitable. Anyway, it's really troublesome. The best way to avoid such trouble at the moment is to refuse Cao Cao, but think carefully about how to refuse. Su Chu also stood aside, feeling happy for Cao Cao and Fang Jie in his heart. Fang Jie is so talented that he has now voted for the Ming Lord, which is truly a great joy. But unexpected things happened. After thinking for a while, Fang Jie stepped forward to help Cao Cao and arched his hand, saying, "Thanks to the Prime Minister's kindness, I'm afraid I can't do this marching professor well. Moreover, I'm just a lazy and idle person. There are many rules in this army, and I'm afraid I can't get used to them. In addition, I don't know how to ride horses, which may slow down the Prime Minister's marching speed. Why not ask the Prime Minister to give me an official position as a horse keeper so that I can practice riding horses and increase my marching speed?" As soon as Fang Jie spoke, Cao Cao felt extremely regretful. But he thought about it and realized that Zhuge Jie had followed him on a camping trip and contracted a disease, which led to his premature death. But Fang Jie's body doesn't look as good as Zhuge Jie's, so why don't you just follow his advice and let him stay in the back and raise horses? Firstly, one can practice horseback riding, and secondly, the official position of raising horses is relatively easy. Later, I will send him some food to supplement his health. In one place, Fang Jie was once a scholar of Zhuge Liang. Although he did not doubt it, those aristocratic families must have suspected it, and even secretly attacked assassins. In this way, wouldn't it be a loss of a great talent? Nowadays, Fang Jie's initiative to raise horses is indeed a wise choice. Since that's the case, Mu Shui became the imperial servant. What do you think? Good. At the next moment, the system sound will sound directly. Ding, join Cao Cao to complete the task and receive a reward of 5 intelligence points. The host's current intelligence is 95 points and has not yet received a reward of over 100. Ding, gain Cao Cao's trust and complete the task. Reward the position of Grand Servant, and take charge of horse maintenance. Ding, complete the task of dispelling Cao Cao's doubts and reward him with 3 points of strength. The host's current strength is 91 points, comparable to that of a partial general, but has not yet received a reward for breaking the 100. After receiving 3 system prompts in a row, Fang Jie finally breathed a sigh of relief and completed the task. From now on, he has no worries about his life. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Anli Gan's Lady to Cao Cao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Anli Gan's Lady to Cao Cao, however. After seeing Fang Jie agree, Cao Cao expressed his concerns. Mu Shui, what should I do if Liu Bei discovers that our army is pursuing us, abandons the people, and carries light and simple clothing? Can Mu Shui have a good strategy for this situation? A qualified military strategist will always be prepared for anything, whether it is good or bad. Of course, the main reason is still due to Zhuge Jia. When Zhuge Jia was not dead, he would always prepare him with 2 hands, and he just sang and made great progress without worrying about accidents. But Zhuge Jia's death made Cao Cao, who was accustomed to it, gradually become cautious and keep an extra eye on things. It can be seen that Zhuge Jia's passing dealt a great blow to Cao Cao. Upon hearing this, Fang Jie is also confident about this matter. Hi, I couldn't catch up with you in the first place, why be so persistent? As soon as these words were spoken, the expression on Cao Cao's face changed from hopeful to gloomy, which completely did not match his expectations for Fang Jie. This Fang Jie is not at all up to Zhuge Jia's level. At first, he provided several plans, but there were no backup plans. However, Cao Cao immediately felt relieved. Zhuge Jia was the only one, and Fang Jie was extraordinary if he had such talent. Oh, it hurts so much, Guo Fengshao. Su Chu, who was standing beside him, also noticed the gloomy expression on Cao Cao's face and approached him, asking, Brother Mu Shui, is it difficult to win this battle? Can't we really capture Liu Bei alive? Fang Jie shook his head and said with a smile, Prime Minister, General, you also know that when the imperial edict was issued, Liu Bei could escape from Xuchang alone. Now, Liu Bei has Zhuge Liang, Guan Yu, and others around him. I'm afraid his escape speed will be faster. Even Zhuge Liang did not have the confidence to capture Liu Bei alive, and this is also the reason why Liu Bei has survived from the Yellow Turban Rebellion to the present day. Zhuge Liang took advantage of this advantage and kept dealing with the Prime Minister, which resulted in the Prime Minister being unable to find Liu Bei's trace. Cao Cao nodded and fully agreed with Fang Jie's statement. When it comes to escape, Cao Cao has also escaped many times, but when it comes to escape, Liu Bei can simply be his master. After sighing, Cao Cao said, Anyway, since we can't catch up, let's not pursue. Send the order to go to Xiangyang at full speed. Ding, the mission has been released, and Cao Cao will be pleased with Lady Mi and Lady Gan. They will also join the army of Cheng Banpo and capture the 2 alive. Successful mission, rewarded with swordsmanship, Dugu Zhujian, failed mission, executed by Cao Cao Ling Qi. Wait a minute. Originally, Fang Jie had no intention of having Cao Cao intercept him, but upon hearing that the system had released a task and the failure of the task was a punishment of execution, Fang Jie's mind suddenly grew larger. Good guy, 3 tasks have just been completed, and it's been less than a minute before they come again. Do tasks that are difficult or not have a grudge against me. Death is always present. However, the reward for this mission is still a bit good. Dugu Zhujian at least gave himself defense skills. At the next moment, Fang Jie suddenly reached out and stopped the messenger. Cao Cao's face darkened once again and he said, Mu Shui, is there anything wrong? Fang Jie didn't care about Cao Cao's expression, but smiled and said, "Prime Minister, I think it's important to pursue Liu Bei." What he said made Cao Cao a little unhappy. His tone was cold and he said, "Mu Shui, whether to pursue or not is the same result. Why bother to pursue?" Fang Jie said calmly, "Prime Minister, I heard that Liu Bei has 2 wives. One of them is as beautiful as jade and looks like a jade figure under the moonlight. Liu Bei loves her very much, and this person is Lady Gan." Upon hearing this, Cao Cao's gloomy face instantly turned into a smile, and he quickly asked, "What is the relationship between Lady Gan and chasing Liu Bei?" Fang Jie saw that Cao Cao was in a good mood and continued, "I heard that Lady Gan had just given birth to a son named Adu. Liu Bei took great care of him and brought him to the military camp. Now that Liu Bei is on the run, I believe Lady Gan will inevitably follow. As a result, the marching speed is slow, and Liu Bei needs to protect the people, so the marching speed is even slower. This is also the reason why he can pursue Liu Bei." Cao Cao's slender eyes gradually narrowed, staring in the direction of Jiangling, nodding frequently, and his mouth slightly curled up, almost unable to resist the impulse in his heart. Why did Mu Shui say he couldn't catch up earlier? After thinking for a while, Cao Cao asked with a slanted gaze. Fang Jie laughed and said, "The Prime Minister is not aware. Liu Bei and Zhuge Liang believe that the Prime Minister cannot pursue him, but as long as the Prime Minister sends troops to Changbanpo, when a large army suddenly appears, he will panic and abandon his wife and children to flee. If the Prime Minister brings Liu Bei's wife and children up and gets angry with him, he may be so angry that he spits blood out of his mouth and will never recover, then the so-called called Longzhong is just a decoration. Liu Bei fell into a slump and Zhuge Liang had no clear master, so it was not a concern." Upon hearing this, the smile on Cao Cao's face became increasingly exaggerated, and he couldn't stop it. Mu Shui, this is a poison trap. Ha! Cao Cao was full of energy and his voice shook the fields. A series of laughter erupted, and the laughing Cao Cao applauded and cheered one after another. Su Chu was frightened, thinking that Cao Cao had taken a break, and even the soldiers who were marching rapidly turned their heads to look over. After Cao Cao laughed for a long time, tears welled up in his eyes. At this moment, Su Chu realized that the Prime Minister had not laughed so heartily for a long time. He smiled happily, patted Fang Jie's shoulder, nodded, and affirmed him. "I, Cao Cao, have obtained the wooden water. Why worry about Zhuge Liang not dying, Liu Bei not dying, and the children of Jiangdong should not be afraid?" Ha! Fang Jie put on a humble expression and arched his hand, saying, "The Prime Minister has praised me falsely." At the next moment, his gaze changed and he said to Su Chu, "Zhong Kong, pass on the order to Cao Chun, 1 person and 2 horses, to travel day and night to Changbanpo." After speaking, Cao Cao, thinking of the beautiful Lady Gan in his heart, casually found a soldier and took Fang Jie to the stable. And this soldier was also mentally disabled. After taking Fang Jie to the stable, he led 2 horses and left. This makes Fang Jie extremely angry. "You are so mute that you won't introduce me to them. Even if you don't introduce me, you still have to reveal my official position. Without any discerning ability, no wonder I can't become a general." During the 3 Kingdoms period, the place dedicated to raising horses was Ma Zheng, and the imperial servant was specifically responsible for managing Ma Zheng, ranking among the 9 ministers. Of course, during the march and battle, Ma Zheng in the military camp was different from Su Chang's Ma Zheng. Wake up every day and feed the horses to see if they are sick, ensuring that the military needs horses. Commander Su Yun was Su Chu's younger brother and joined forces with him to seek refuge with Cao Cao. But Su Yun's face was a bit foolish, and Su Chu was afraid of not serving Cao Cao well. Instead, he was killed by Cao Cao's dream of killing someone. In addition, Su Chu was the personal guard of Cao Cao, so Su Yun obtained an official position as a commander and arranged for Su Chu to be appointed to Ma Zheng. Since then, although Ma Zheng has become a bit dull and tasteless, at least he is Su Chu's younger brother, isn't he? Who dares to offend him? Moreover, newly enlisted soldiers will not come to Ma Zheng. Generally, only soldiers who make mistakes will be demoted to Ma Zheng, which gives Su Yun the opportunity to pretend to be coerced. Then, Fang Jie, who had just arrived, suffered a disaster. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Teaches a lesson, then lock your throat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 teaches a lesson, then lock your throat. Did the newcomer make a mistake? I didn't make any mistakes, I'm Cheng. Well, as long as you don't make any mistakes, do you know the rules of our Ma Zheng? Fang Jie looked bewildered. Didn't he just raise a horse? How come there are still rules? Su Yun looked at Fang Jie with a puzzled expression in his eyes and snorted coldly, I see you are also someone who lacks vision. Can't you be polite when you see this new commander? Fang Jie felt very helpless in his heart. How could you say that I have no vision? What kind of thing are you? Even Cao Cao was so eloquent that I laughed heartily. Why did you come here and teach him a lesson? Su Yun saw that he was silent and angrily said, Don't be disrespectful, kid. Do you know who I am, Commander? Fang Jie is currently only interested in Cao Cao and has no interest in anyone else. He casually asked, Who? Is it possible that he is the heavenly king Laozi? I am the younger brother of General Su Chu, and Su Yun is the same. Now that I hold the position of commander, you have nothing to do. Why don't you bow quickly? Fang Jie gave him a white glance and said, you idiot. Fang Jie casually found a stool and sat down, saying, I am the newly appointed servant of the Prime Minister. Let you take care of me. Su Yun saw that Fang Jie ignored him and dared to insult him. He instantly felt ashamed and insisted on giving this kid a hard time. Immediately, with a firm belly and trembling fat on his face, he pointed with a big hand and said, Fuck your mother. The eunuch is feeling refreshed in Xichang now. Where did you come from? Indeed, it's something that lacks vision. Didn't you see me sitting here with so many people around to serve? Kid, I'm in charge of things. I don't see any Prime Minister's orders on you. You want to come here to cheat on food and drink. You go eat shit. At the next moment, Fang Jie inwardly exclaimed that it was not good. Cao Cao's eyes were full of Lady Gone and Lady Me. When he left, he didn't give any instructions and called for a soldier to lead the way. This soldier was also mentally disabled. All right now, Su Yun looks like a fool, not like a rabbit scattering an eagle, which immediately makes Fang Jie feel very tricky. I am truly the newly appointed servant of the Prime Minister. Su Yun. Where is the transfer order? Fang Jie. Let me tell you, don't be too reckless. The Prime Minister left in a hurry and forgot to give me a transfer order. When the Prime Minister comes back, there will be a transfer order naturally, and there will be good fruits to eat then. Su Yun said, General Su Chu is my elder brother, the personal guard next to the Prime Minister. Killing you is like cutting a melon. I advise you to be honest. Fang Jie. Su Chu still wants to kill me. If he dares to come over today, I will slap him 4 times and dare not shout a word. Oh, you're quite arrogant. You even slandered General Su Chu. I see you're itching. Someone, let this kid know the rules of our Ma Zheng. At this moment, a horse farmer next to him said, Commander Su, isn't that good? I think he was brought over by the personal guard camp himself. Maybe he's really a servant. Another person said, yes, if it were a eunuch, we wouldn't be able to offend him. I think we should just forget about it. Su Yun's plump face trembled, his big eyes widened, his hands crossed his hips, and he angrily said, What's wrong? Would you rather offend me than him? A few horse owners looked embarrassed and sighed inwardly. Su Yun is the younger brother of General Su Chu. With Su Chu's authority, he often shouts loudly in the mahjong, and even the village chief dare not offend him. And those subordinates, judging by his expression, clearly regarded Su Yun as the little tyrant of mahjong. Now, Fang Jie has arrived again. Although he claims to be the new imperial servant, he has not received any instructions from the Prime Minister. What if he really is? When the Prime Minister blames him, it will be a headache. Anyway, neither of these two people dare to offend. Now, when Fang Jie, who was thin and frail, met Su Yun, who was covered in fat, he couldn't help but suffer. Ma Zheng and the others sympathized for Fang Jie in the state of being in dire straits when Mud Bodhisattva crossed the river. Hey, can't you take a soft one, kid? When the Prime Minister orders, you should be more arrogant. It's better now, you're going to have bad luck. Seeing these people standing still without understanding, Su Yunqi nodded one after another and said, "Okay, you guys are doing well. When I clean him up, you guys will have good fruit to eat." With one sentence, everyone trembled with fear and went to feed their horses separately. Su Yun rolled up his sleeves and walked towards Fang Jie. Fang Jie's head suddenly grew bigger. Despite having 91 points of strength, he didn't have combat skills. How can he deal with Su Yun? Shu Yun didn't give Fang Jie any extra time, rolled up his sleeves and stood in front of him, his big eyes glaring fiercely at him. Say, what other last words do you have? The implication is to deal a fierce blow to Fang Jie. As for killing Fang Jie, he dare not. If he dared to kill, he wouldn't have been thrown into mahjong to raise horses. Ding, the host cannot be humiliated. Give Su Yun a lesson and reward him for his barbecue skills. After hearing the system release the task, Fang Jie smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth. And Fang Jie has found the rules for the system to publish tasks. As long as there are some major decisions, the system will definitely publish tasks. Fang Jie is waiting for this opportunity, waiting for the system to release tasks, so that his strength and intelligence can surpass 100, in order to obtain better rewards. After seeing the task content, Fang Jie also frowned slightly. He was so thin and weak, and Su Yun was fat all over. How could he teach him a lesson? After much thought, Fang Jie finally came up with a solution. I saw Fang Jie slowly get up, tidy up his clothes, and bow to Su Yun behind him, saying, "See Prime Minister." Su Yun was taken aback and quickly turned his head to look. But there was no Prime Minister there. When he regained his senses, Fang Jie had already ridden on Su Yun, his arm tightly wrapped around Su Yun's neck, and gave him a throat lock. This move is deception, taking advantage of people's unpreparedness and taking them by surprise. But this move had no effect on Zhuge Liang. Every time he used it, Zhuge Liang could always see what Fang Jie was thinking in the first place. But Su Yun is different. He is completely a fool. I could have endured it for a while. Since the system asked me to teach you a lesson, don't blame me for not speaking martial arts. Watching Fang Jie and Su Yun take action, a group of horse breeders stood there dumbfounded as they dared not step out. Su Yun knew he had been fooled by Fang Jie, and by the time he realized it, he had already been locked in his throat. Su Yun was covered in fat all over his body, his chin was double, and his neck was full of fat. Fang Jie also used his strength to barely lock Su Yun in. In just a few short breaths, Su Yun was unable to breathe and gradually lost consciousness. Holding on to Fang Jie's arms with both hands, he lost his center of gravity and fell backwards with Fang Jie. And Fang Jie, in order to successfully complete the task, refused to let go even if his back was heavily hit on the ground. Su Yun kept waving his hands, kicking his feet on the ground, his face turning red, and he was about to die. A large group of people gathered around, and no one dared to come up and stop them. One of them is Su Chu's younger brother, and the other is suspected to be a eunuch. No one can afford to offend them. This kind of thing is not something they can participate in, so they can only seek help from the village chief. End of this chapter. Chapter 8 Report. Chow Chow disrupts common sense in playing cards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Report. Chow Chow disrupts common sense in playing cards. After hearing this, the village chief quickly arrived at the scene and, with just one glance, froze in place. Su Yun was strangled by Fang Jie, his face flushed, his legs straightened a bit, and his waving arms were heavily lowered, as if he was about to be suffocated in the next moment. Sir, stop it quickly. The village chief quickly led a few people to separate Fang Jie and Su Yun. Su Yun lay on the ground, his eyes empty, his hands and feet twitching occasionally. It is estimated that in a few minutes, Su Yun will be locked to death. Sir, Commander Su is General Su Chu's younger brother, so he cannot be killed. Upon learning that Fang Jie was about to strangle Su Yun as soon as he arrived, the village chief was convinced that Fang Jie was indeed the newly appointed eunuch. If it were an ordinary person, which wouldn't give Su Yun some face. Even an ordinary general who leads horses here should be polite to Su Liang, but Fang Jie is a tough guy. He locked Su Yun's throat when he came up. This is definitely someone with backstage, and he is also a ruthless person. Can't handle it well, it's still relatives of the Chow family or something like that. Moreover, Fang Jie was able to lock Su Yun's throat in a short period of time with his weak body in bare hands. He was a person with real abilities, and perhaps the eunuch was just a casual servant, and could easily become a general or something like that. With this thought in mind, the village chief became even more hesitant and quickly called out to everyone, saying, "Hurry up and clean up the dust for the adults, and then go call a military doctor to see Commander Su." Fang Jie snorted coldly, "No need." After speaking, Fang Jie squatted on the ground and reached out his fingers to pinch the inside of Su Yun's thigh. In an instant, Su Yun felt relieved and his eyes gradually regained consciousness. He was panting heavily in his mouth and coughing violently. The village chief admired Fang Jie even more for his skill. Seeing that Su Yun was fine, the village chief felt relieved and said, "Sir, please rest in the tent for a while, and we will clean up the dust soon." "No need, the army is about to embark on an expedition, and Ma Zhang and his supplies are also about to depart. Go to Huedo camp to collect 3 days' worth of dry food and prepare for the expedition." Fang Jie waved his hand directly, gesturing for the village chief to go down and prepare. Ko Tuanchang was a bit embarrassed. This adult had some clever methods, but without any orders, it was unclear what his identity was. Don't listen to him, if this is true, it will ruin the military situation. If I had listened to him, but he didn't give orders, it would have been waiting for an opportunity to rebel, and the crime would have been even greater. At this moment, a messenger rode his horse and shouted loudly, "The Prime Minister has an order, the whole army is advancing at full speed. Ma Zhang needs to prepare 3 days of dry rations and horses, without any mistakes." The village chief was surprised and knew that what Fang Jie said was true. He no longer doubted it and hurriedly said, "Sir, then we will go to the Huedo camp to collect dry rations and take care of the horses." Fang Jie nodded, and Tun Chang took the people to busily go, while Su Yun was still lying on the ground, looking at Fang Jie in fear and anger. Fang Jie was displeased by the sight and his eyes widened. "Are you dead? If you're not dead, stand up for me and pretend to be a bastard on the ground." Su Yun felt a sense of emptiness as he wanted to stand up, and a few horse owners on the side habitually helped him. "It seems that I have become accustomed to being bullied and instinctively make this kind of action." But Fang Jie didn't get used to him, and with a big glare, he made several people stand still. But Su Yun's legs became weak and he stood several times, all falling to the ground. Fang Jie's face sank and he snorted coldly at Su Yun again. Upon seeing this, Su Yun ignored the pain in his neck and stumbled away. With just one move, Su Yun almost died. The people in Ma Zhang suddenly felt that this master was not easy to provoke, and secretly made up their mind to establish a good relationship with Fang Jie. Fang Jie threw his sleeve and returned to the camp. Seeing no one around, he took a deep breath. Yeah, it hurts me so much, my back is so hot. Hey, with a 3-inch eloquent tongue, I managed to deal with Cao Cao. Unexpectedly, I couldn't even handle a silly guy. I knew I would be a marching professor. Professor marching is not good either. Otherwise, the system can directly kill me, which is too difficult. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the task and rewarding barbecue skills. Watching the sudden emergence of barbecue techniques in his mind, Fang Jie's face gradually showed a smile, and the pain on his body seemed to have eased a lot. Now it's perfect. I took on a casual job in the Chow camp without being constrained by anyone, and I could do whatever I wanted. Now I have gained barbecue skills again. What about grilled fish and meat? Arrange them as soon as possible, and maybe I can use this delicacy to gain Cao Cao's trust again. On the other side, Liu Bei held a dough in his arms and looked at Lady Gan with a loving expression on his face. In my heart, there was infinite emotion. Unexpectedly, after floating for half a life, I not only obtained Wolong Zhuge Liang, but also a son. This was simply a double blessing. The so-called happy events in life are nothing more than that, right? If it weren't for marching and fighting now, Liu Bei would have been holding Lady Gan for a moment. Liu Bei exuded a strong sense of love, which made Lady Mi feel a bit disappointed on the side. Report. At this moment, the sound of exploring the horse suddenly came, and Liu Bei also withdrew his gaze full of love. Leaving the carriage with a smile on his face, he led Zhuge Liang and others to look at Tanma. Tanma immediately dismounted and arched his hand to report, "Lord, the Chao army did not attack Xianyang, but instead sent a large number of cavalry to follow. Now, it is less than half a day's journey to catch up with our army." Liu Bei was unprepared and almost fell to the ground. What? What are you saying? It's impossible. How could Cao Cao give up attacking Xianyang? Liu Bei couldn't believe his ears. The scout arched his hand again and said, "Lord, every word you say is true." In the next moment, the love in Liu Bei's eyes completely disappeared, leaving only fear and disbelief. Zhuge Liang and others looked at each other. Liu Bei looked at Zhuge Liang in panic and said, "Master, what should we do?" Zhuge Liang also panicked. This was the first time he panicked in his life. "Lord, Cao Cao didn't play cards according to common sense, and it took us 2 to 3 days faster than we expected." Liu Bei hurriedly said, "What should I do then?" Seeing Liu Bei panic, Sun Qian said again, "Lord, the urgent task is to abandon the people and head to Jiangxia first." Liu Bei directly blocked him and said, "No way, I am a relative of the Han family. How can I abandon the people? It's true that after acting for a long time, I take it seriously." Lady Mi in the carriage, Lady Gan was immediately shocked when she heard that the Chao army was chasing her. She didn't know what to do. Zhang Fei held a Zhangba snake spear and shouted, "Big brother, you leave first, I'll stay and stop the Chao thief." Generalita cannot do it. Zhuge Liang is truly Zhuge Liang. He has reached the critical moment of life and death, yet he remains fearless in the face of danger. He stopped Zhang Fei with a feather fan and said calmly, "Lord, the people are the foundation of the Han dynasty. We cannot abandon the people. It's better to send someone to inform the people that the Chao army is chasing after us and will launch a massacre to urge them to speed up." At the same time, the Lord dispatched thousands of troops to block the Chao army's attack in sections. Jian Yong was puzzled and said, "Master, Chao's army has many soldiers and horses, but our army is only a few thousand. We need to block them in sections. How can we stop them?" Zhuge Liang smiled and said, "Xian, he doesn't know anything. If the Chao army can travel at such a fast speed, it will surely be day and night, with people and horses tired. Our army is waiting for work, and this consumption cannot be stopped." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Zhuge Liang suspects the location of Fang Jie. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Zhuge Liang suspects the location of Fang Jie. Liu Bei also nodded and said, "What the military master said is absolutely right. Third brother, you and I will lead the army to block the Chao army. The others will urge the people to move forward and hurry to Jiangxiao." "No." Everyone arched their hands in response and dispersed. Liu Bei turned his horse's head and looked at the carriage with a worried expression, saying, "Madam, I will send a team of people to escort you forward. I will be there soon. Remember to protect Adu and not get hurt." Madame Gan and Madame Mi also stretched out the window and tearfully said, "Husband, take care." Seeing that the two agreed, Liu Bei rode away and gathered his troops with Zhang Fei, preparing to intercept the Chao army. Zhuge Liang saw the opportunity was ripe, so he took advantage of the remaining momentum of the new official's appointment and added fuel and fire once again. He ordered his soldiers to search for dry firewood and dead trees in the surrounding mountains and forests. When fighting against the Chao army, they were defeated and led them into a narrow location. Ambush gear was deployed on both sides, and together they threw dry firewood and dead wood, setting fire to and killing the Chao army. As soon as this strategy was proposed, Liu Bei praised it incessantly and praised it repeatedly. At present, they scattered around and prepared to go. "Lord, lead someone to ambush in the valley ahead. After the Chao army enters the valley, Lord will kill them from the bottom of the mountain and cut off their path. I will arrange firewood from both sides and ignite it with rockets. At that time, the Chao army will surely be in chaos. General Ida will lead his troops to kill them back, and the Chao army will be defeated." Liu Bei was pleasantly surprised and burst into laughter, saying, "The military strategist has indeed devised a clever plan. I will lead troops up the mountain to ambush now." Zhuge Liang nodded and said to Zhang Fei, "General Ida, lead 1,000 troops and horses to ambush here. If you encounter the Chao army, you will only be defeated. You must lead the Chao army into the valley ahead." Zhang Fei chuckled and said, "Master, just take a look." Thousands of people and horses were divided into 3 locations, each ambushed, and Zhang Fei waited patiently here for the appearance of the Chao army. And Chao's army did not disappoint Liu Bei either. After traveling day and night, they finally caught up with Liu Bei's troops. I saw that Liu Bei's troops were about 1,100 people, arranged in a straight line. The leader was Zhang Fei, with a leopard-like head and eyes, and a face like black charcoal. Captain Chao Chun, the commander of the Tiger and Leopard Cavalry, looked at everyone in front of him and couldn't help but laugh. "How dare these few hundred people stop me from riding the Tiger and Leopard Cavalry? That's really funny." Zhang Fei didn't care about what the other party did, but just shouted, "I am Zhang Ida from Yan, dare you fight?" Chao Chun burst into laughter upon seeing the situation. In his opinion, as long as Guan Yu didn't come to stop him, the others would be like praying mantis wielding their arms, not worth mentioning. Ha! As Chao Chun laughed, the group of tiger and leopard riders also burst into laughter. Zhang Fei pretended to be angry and embarrassed, slapped his horse's buttocks, held a Zhangba snake spear, and killed Chao Chun. Chao Chun was not afraid at all and placed his long spear across his chest, intercepting Zhang Fei with a single blow. 2 people and 2 horses fought together in an instant. Chao Chun had heard of Zhang Fei's fame and knew that he was a reckless man. He immediately dared not take it lightly and fought against Zhang Fei. Unexpectedly, after 10 rounds, Zhang Fei felt a bit overwhelmed and swung his spear towards Chao Chun's face, then rode back. As he ran, he shouted, "I have just recovered from this serious illness and have no strength. I will be fighting with you another day, retreat." Chao Chun heard that Zhang Fei was completely powerless, and that he had finally had the opportunity to kill Liu Bei's third brother. Naturally, he would not miss this opportunity. Immediately raise the long spear and pursue. Zhang Fei fled in embarrassment and retreated into the valley. The soldiers under his command also threw away their weapons and ran away recklessly. Upon seeing this, Chao Chun burst into laughter, his morale even stronger, and his pursuit speed noticeably accelerated. After rushing into the valley, Chao Chun found that Zhang Fei was nowhere to be found, and was immediately shocked. He secretly thought it was not good. Years of leading troops in battle have taught him that if he doesn't retreat at this time, he will surely lose. However, before Chao Chun could give the order to retreat, the ambushes on both sides were exhausted and rockets were fired directly. In addition, with dry firewood and dead wood on both sides, the flames suddenly burst into the sky, and Chao Chun screamed incessantly. "Ha, thief Chao, you fell for my master's clever plan. Where can you escape?" At some point, Zhang Fei rode out on horseback and burst into laughter. Many tiger and leopard cavalry soldiers caught fire on their bodies, got off their horses, rolled on the ground, and prepared to extinguish the flames. The warhorses were also frightened into chaos by the sudden flames. Chao Chun shouted loudly, urging everyone not to panic, while hatefully saying, "It's Zhuge village master's plan again." Next to him, two deputy generals hurriedly advised, "General, retreat quickly. We will cover General's retreat." Chao Chun gritted his teeth helplessly and said, "The whole army obeys orders and breaks through backwards." The tiger and leopard rode bravely, but Liu Bei's 3,000 soldiers and horses couldn't stop them at all. He could only let go of a gap and let Chao Chun charge out. After a fierce battle, hundreds of corpses were thrown down and they fled in embarrassment. In this battle, Liu Bei once again won, his face beaming with joy, and ordered someone to clean the battlefield. The military strategist is truly divine and has achieved a complete victory. Zhuge Liang lightly waved his feather fan, smiling very naturally on the surface, but his heart became solemn. In theory, it is impossible for anyone in Cao Cao's army to see through my scheme. Zhuge Jia has died, and the intelligence of Sun Yu, Jia Su, and others cannot match mine. It is impossible for them to see through my scheme so quickly. The military strategist is truly the most divine person in the world. Cao Cao, who used his strategy to kill, fled in a panic on a tiger and leopard, which really boosted the morale of our army. Liu Bei didn't notice Zhuge Liang's concerns and continued to praise him. And when Zhuge Liang was praised by him, he suddenly remembered someone, who was Fang Jie, Fang Mushui. This person was not inferior in intelligence to himself. Previously, it was this person who made the Longzhong match. Could it be that Fang Jie is currently under the command of Cao Cao? At the thought of this possibility, Zhuge Liang dared not stay too long and quickly said to Liu Bei, "Lord, the Cao army is powerful. Although our army has won, we cannot stay for a long time. We still need to set up a suspicious formation, quickly gather equipment, and hurry." Liu Bei nodded repeatedly. Afterwards, Zhuge Liang ordered people to plant grass men around the valley and dress them as suspected soldiers. After being quickly caught up by the Cao army this time, Zhuge Liang gradually suspected that Fang Jie was under Cao Cao's command at the moment, so he immediately sent people to the Cao army, waiting for an opportunity to assassinate Fang Jie. And Zhuge Liang also made up his mind not to let this person survive in the world. Otherwise, it will be difficult to showcase one's talents and even endanger one's life. After seeing Zhuge Liang's arrangement, Liu Bei and Zhang Fei couldn't help but praise wildly, and then left. At this moment, the defeated Chao Chun stood in front of Cao Cao with his head down. Cao Cao was very angry, his face gradually darkened, and he cursed at Cao Chun. Liu Bei is only a few thousand soldiers and horses, yet he has beaten your 5,000 tigers and leopards so badly. Are you a pig? Cao Chun's face was grey, and even half of his hair was burned down by the fire. Prime Minister, this is my carelessness. I fell for Zhuge village's scheme and was ambushed in a valley. Please surrender your crimes, Prime Minister. Upon hearing this, Cao Cao gritted his teeth and said, "It's Zhuge Liang again, this Zhuge Liang again." Thinking of what Fang Jie said, Zhuge Liang is more intelligent and closer to demons, it seems that what he said is true. However, none of these are important. Anyway, I have already followed Fang Jie's advice. As long as we catch Mrs. Gan and Humph, then, let's see how arrogant Liu Bei and Zhuge Liang are. As soon as he thought of Lady Gan, Cao Cao's mood eased a lot. Then he sighed and said to Cao Chun, well, since he was caught in Zhuge Liang's scheme, losing this battle is not unjustified. Cao Chun gratefully said, thank you very much, Prime Minister. Is Liu Bei still chasing after me? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Cao Cao's wife, not Liu Bei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Cao Cao's wife, not Liu Bei. Cao Cao snorted coldly and looked towards the direction of Liu Bei's escape with his hands on his back. He said arrogantly, Liu Bei has the Zhuge village master, while I, Cao Cao, have a domineering aura. Now that I have 1,000,000 soldiers, what if Liu Bei wins a small victory? Now that Zai and you have been greatly defeated by Zhuge Liang will surely be careless. If our army can quickly catch up, we will be surprised and capture Liu Bei and others. And Cao Cao's intention was not to capture Liu Bei alive, but to capture Liu Bei's 2 wives. After all, Fang Jie also said that he couldn't catch up with Liu Bei, let alone capture him. However, Cao Chun was unaware of these things. With Cao Cao's words, he swept away the feeling of a great defeat and leaned down to bow his hand, saying, I will strictly abide by the orders of the Prime Minister. Cao Cao waved his hand and said, the whole army, move forward quickly again. Under the protection of Su Chu, Cao Cao did not rest for a moment and quickly chased Liu Bei and others. Cao Chun once again served as a vanguard, redeeming himself and leading the tiger and leopard cavalry to continue chasing Liu Bei. But as he passed by the ambushed valley, he found many ambushes on both sides. Cao Chun immediately stopped and sent several people to besiege him. After everyone attacked, they realized that he was just a grass man. At this moment, Cao Cao also chased over and immediately asked when Cao Chun stopped moving. Cao Chun was somewhat worried and said, previously, I was ambushed in this valley, and Zhuge Liang deployed suspicious soldiers in the mountain valley. Our army is unaware of the truth and dare not advance recklessly. I just lost the battle here, losing hundreds of soldiers and horses, and these hundreds of soldiers and horses are all tigers and leopards. Among the elite, everyone is 1 in 100, even the horses are Liangzhou war horses. This is an elite unit created by Cao Cao's hard work and resources, which can be called special forces and cannot tolerate any losses. Cao Chun had to be even more careful. Unexpectedly, Cao Cao waved his hand and said, Zi and Xiu should be more careful. This suspected soldier was Zhuge Liang deliberately delaying our army and buying them time to escape. Now, tens of thousands of iron cavalry have gathered, and even if Zhuge Liang were a butcher, these tens of thousands of iron cavalry could arch him to death. Cao Chun suddenly felt relieved and shouted loudly, the Prime Minister is mighty. Cao Cao pointed his hand and shouted, the whole army is accelerating and heading straight towards the slope of Changban. On the other hand, Liu Bei and others happily returned to the main force. Lady Gan held Lady Do and Lady Mi and sat in the carriage, welcoming Liu Bei back triumphantly. Jian Yong and others saw Liu Bei's return and brought so many spoils of war. Knowing that they had won the battle, they immediately stepped forward to congratulate him. Congratulations to the Lord on his great defeat of the Cao army. The military strategist has a brilliant plan and can be described as a divine person. Zhuge Liang pretended to be humble and said, Xian He, Gong Yu, I praise you falsely. Liu Bei asked at this moment, have you ever sent someone to inform the people that the Cao thief is nearby? Sun Qian sighed and said, Lord, among the people, there are many elderly and young people, making it difficult to walk and the marching speed cannot be improved. Upon hearing this, Liu Bei's originally cheerful expression suddenly changed, resembling a pitiful and compassionate expression. At this moment, Ado started crying again, and Liu Bei quickly dismounted and entered the carriage to check on his son. The pink little hand grabbed Liu Bei's big hand and burst into tears, indifferent to the current predicament. Mrs. Gan held ado and swayed around, coaxing him to sleep. Liu Bei saw the situation and asked, "Madam, is ado hungry?" Upon hearing this, Lady Gan nodded and began breastfeeding Ado. As Ado gradually fell asleep, Liu Bei prepared to take Ado from Mrs. Gan's arms and hold him in his arms. However, Cao Cao did not give him this opportunity at all. "I saw a scout galloping towards us, rolling off his horse and report, Lord, the suspected soldiers in the valley have lost their effectiveness. Tens of thousands of iron cavalry are following us, less than 30 miles away from our army." Upon hearing this, Lady Gan's face instantly turned pale, and she only held Ado in her arms. Upon seeing this, Liu Bei quickly comforted Lady Gan and said, "Madam, please don't get off the car. You must protect Do's safety." Immediately, Liu Bei got off the carriage and gathered with Zhuge Liang and others to discuss how to resist the Chao army. Even Zhuge Liang's face turned pale and he sighed slightly. Sure enough, Brother Mu Shui is in the Chao camp. Otherwise, the Chao bandits wouldn't have reacted so quickly and chased him desperately. And chasing so closely, obviously to avenge the assassination several months ago. Liu Bei also hurriedly said, "Master, Chao's army's tens of thousands of iron cavalry are already less than 30 miles. What should we do?" Zhuge Liang also felt a bit headache, but he quickly sorted out his thoughts and changed his previous polite way of speaking. Instead, he spoke quickly. "Lord, this place is a plain, very suitable for iron cavalry to charge, which is even more disadvantageous to our army. At this moment, we can only retreat while fighting and quickly reach the Changban slope area. The terrain around Changbanpo is complex, and the Chao army's iron cavalry cannot be deployed. Only then can our army completely escape and advance into Jiangxiao. As long as we get there, General Yun Chang and Lu Qi's tens of thousands of troops will be able to receive us, and then we will have peace of mind." Liu Bei hesitated and said, "Master, this place is still a few days away from Jiangxiao. Our army is less than a few thousand people, how can we persist until Jiangxiao?" Zhuge Liang gave a faint smile and looked at the densely packed people around him, whispering, "Lord, these densely packed people around are our soldiers. But the people are unarmed, how can they confront the Chao army?" Zhuge Liang said, "It's okay, just distribute the weapons to the people, and then the people will follow us to resist the Chao bandits. Otherwise, will the Lord watch the people die at the hands of the Chao thieves?" Liu Bei nodded, and when Zhuge Liang said so, the last psychological obstacle in his heart disappeared. Zhuge Liang saw his agreement and continued, "Thousands of soldiers and horses, dressed in people's clothing, are hiding among the people, searching for the weaknesses of the Chao bandits and attacking them unprepared. In this way, the Chao army will definitely be defenseless. Moreover, as long as the Chao army slaughters the people, it solidifies the reputation of the Chao bandits' massacre of the city, which makes the Lord's reputation more traveled and also slows down the Chao army's marching speed. No matter what Chao's army does, as long as we have tens of thousands of people in our hands, we can stand invincible." After listening to what Zhuge Liang said, Liu Bei was directly shocked in his heart. It turned out that he had a backhand in proposing to take away the people. Although the people have no experience in war, victory lies in having many people. Moreover, if the Chao army were caught off guard and launched a surprise attack from behind, it would definitely cause chaos for the Chao army. After Liu Bei understood, he began to take action. As for the lives and deaths of the people, Liu Bei did not care. As long as he could survive, there were many people. The panic on his face disappeared instantly, and Liu Bei exclaimed with great joy, "Send orders to distribute weapons to the people, reorganize the soldiers, hide them among the people, wait for the opportunity to take action, and wait for the others to fight and retreat. Hurry up to Changban slope." For the tiger and leopard cavalry, within 30 miles, with a flick of their fingers, they quickly caught up with Liu Bei. Liu Bei led a large army to face the battle, but was defeated and fled. Tiger and Leopard rode a great victory, pursued again, Liu Bei fought again, lost again, and fled. Under such repeated efforts, Liu Bei was defeated all the way to Changbanpo. At this time, the Chao army also launched a full-scale attack and trapped Liu Bei on the slope of Changban. And Zhuge Liang showed his cards, and the soldiers hidden among the people immediately led the people to rebel and chop down the Chao army. Chao Jun was caught off guard and suffered heavy losses. Chao Chun quickly withdrew his troops and galloped straight towards Cao Cao. End of this chapter.